In today's Leeds news, youth tickets on sale, Supporters Trust confirmed tribute, Shackleton future unclear, Marley Wilson injury update, Roca exit latest, and Arne slot wants Summerville. Morning folks, Jer here on Tuesday 26th of March with your Leeds United news. Hope you're all having a good week so far. There's a little bit of stuff to get in, some small updates, some larger updates on futures of players and potential exits from the club. We'll get into this and we'll start off straight away with some information around the under-21 side and a bit of a youth update. The under-21s sides tickets are now on general sale for the under-21s Premier League Cup Clash quarter-final against Chelsea. The game is on Saturday the 30th of March. It's a 1pm kickoff at the LNER Stadium. Ticket prices for this game, £6 for adults and £3 for concession. Tickets are available on leedsunited.com. You can go check that out if you want to for more information on that. A good quarter-final. Under-21s in a cup quarter-final, the under-18s in a cup semi-final, so it's good for the underage sides there, but one to keep an eye on there. Moving on, the Leeds United Supporters Trust today have confirmed that they will pay tribute to Chris Loftus and Kevin Spate at the Hull game on Bank Holiday Monday. There will be a 1 minute applause before kickoff on behalf of the club, and on the 24th minute there will be a video screen tribute to the players. Fans are also being asked to show their support by turning their back to the game in the 24th minute, as happened during the game in Turkey. The 24 minute represents 24 years since Kevin and Chris were murdered in Turkey by Galatasaray fans. Nice to see the club continue the tributes to both men as the years move on. Something that Leeds fans should never forget. Moving on, let's talk about some player updates now, and we'll start off with Jamie Shackleton. It has been an interesting couple of months in the story of Jamie Shackleton's future. Daniel Farkas said several weeks ago that Leeds would look after Jamie Shackleton when he was asked by the press around the player's future with his contract expiring in the summer this year. What Farkas said at that time was that the club would look after Jamie. What that exactly meant, we assumed that it meant a new contract, but now reports 2 weeks ago said that Shackleton could actually leave the club on a free transfer by the end of the season with no new deal currently on offer to the player. It's still unclear as to what's going on in this situation. Now a report from Team Talk, so usual thing with Team Talk, pinch of salt there. They have claimed that Leeds are keen for Connor Roberts to stay at the club beyond his loan and are looking into the possibility of doing a deal for the player that would bring Connor Roberts to Leeds United on a permanent deal, therefore locking down that right back position. That move would be seen as a move that would knock Jamie Shackleton further down the pecking order and further down the list of players needed by Leeds should they move into the Premier League. According to this report, a Connor Roberts permanent move would likely see the end of Jamie Shackleton's future at the club. Again, though, it's not confirmed by the club. As I said, Shackleton's contract does expire with Leeds this summer. No current contract on the table for the player and no talk of future with the injury situations and illnesses he's had this year, which has really stopped him from getting any kind of momentum this season to playing for Leeds. It's been unfortunate, and he's been a victim of circumstances, unfortunately, beyond his control. It's a real shame. I really like Jamie Shackleton. I've always liked Jamie Shackleton. He's never really let us down. He's not the kind of player that does the spectacular stuff, but he's a consistent player. He works hard. He gets Leeds. He's from Leeds. He understands it, and he gives everything for Leeds when he does play. I've always liked Jamie Shackleton. But Leeds will need quality in certain players. It's unlikely to see Shackleton force his way into the midfield area, so you're looking at the right back, which has been very, very good when he has played there. Leeds may look at extending his contract and keeping him as an option with Connor Roberts. Should they bring Connor Roberts in on a permanent deal and have both of them competing for that right back spot, at least you've got options there. But if Leeds do decide to look at Connor Roberts and an additional right full, that might make it difficult for Jamie Shackleton. And again, with the contract running up in the summer, there's a decision that has to be made on his future. Speaking on futures and short-term futures, we move on to talk about the under-18s, and Leeds United striker Marley Wilson has been in very impressive form this campaign for the under-18s, who've been very, very good themselves. 7 goals in his last 8 games, putting him in a really strong position heading into the Youth Cup semi-final. Unfortunately, Marley Wilson then picked up a back injury and has been ruled out for the rest of the season with what Leeds have confirmed as a significant back injury. Now, writing in his article in MOT Leeds News, injury specialist Dr. Rajpal Brar has given his take on the injury and what he believes the injury to be and the likely time frame around the recovery for Wilson. Brar says that given his age, it appears to be a stress fracture to the back, which will see him missing training for upwards of 3 months. Leeds themselves have not put a definitive timeline on this, although they have said he's likely to miss several months of the season, which would line up with Dr. Brar's assessment of that. Dr. Brar goes on to say that a footballer at his age, this is a relatively common situation in young footballers, and he said that hopefully with no complications, he should be available and back in action for Leeds pre-season in the summer, which would be hopeful for the player as well. It's a big step up for a lot of these under 18 players next season. Some of them will be moving into a 21 squad and building that team up. We've seen debuts given already this year by Scott Gardner, who knows these players very, very well. Marley Wilson's a good player. He's a big, strong player. He's very good, old school number 9, holds the ball up very well. He's got a beautiful kind of semi-bicycle kick in the round before the quarterfinals for the FAU Cup. He's a good player. Will he develop into a full-time player? We don't know yet, but he has all the characteristics right now what you would look for in an old school number 9. Strong, good hold to play, links to play well, gets involved in the game, bullies defenders a little bit as well. All the attributes there would signal there's a good player there in the future, but he's still very young. We've got to see how he does with time. But it's nice that that back injury, although substantial, is relatively common in young professional footballers. So there's some kind of peace in that, I suppose, the player back okay in a couple of months' time. Moving on, talk about potential exits, and Mark Roca is the first one. Mark Roca has been the topic of plenty of speculation over the past couple of months around his future at Real Betis and his long-term future with Leeds United. Reports in Spain say that Real Betis are keen to sign the player, but we're concerned that Leeds' promotion to the Premier League, should it happen, would put them in a situation where they would be priced out of a move for Mark Roca. Now, according to El Demarquez in Spain, they're reporting that Mark Roca is making his own plans. The player has just bought a new house in the region for his family, which would give a signal that he intends to stay in the region. The report also claims that Betis have a £10.3 million buy option in the loan deal, but as of yet have not activated that deal. There is time running out on that deal as we approach the summer. There is also other significant interest in the player coming from Spain. So trying to get that deal done would be in their interest to get it done as quickly as they can. There has been talk that the 10.3 million is actually too expensive for Real Betis. They put it in there. It's starting to look similar to what Roma did with Diego Llorente last year with that 18 million pound buying clause, knowing full well they had no intention of paying it. So it's going to be interesting to see. Roca's had a good enough first half of the season, suffering with the consequences of pneumonia at the moment and trying to work his way back into the team, but was very, very strong in their first half of the season before he caught pneumonia. So there are interested parties there. There's also been a new report from Team Talk that say that Leeds are ready to sell the player and are open to offers for the player should anyone meet their valuation of the player, which again is rumoured to be in and around £10.3 million. As I said, he's bought a new home in Betis. Leeds are open to selling him. Betis want to buy him. It's not rocket science this to figure out where Mark Roca's likely future is going to be if Betis can find the money in order to get that deal done. If they can't, it's likely somebody else will come in and pay that fee and take the player on, who's been very, very good for Betis this season and even got a Spanish recall earlier this year. And then moving on to the final story of the day, and according to Voteball International editor Suleyman Öztürk, Feyenoord manager Arne Slot is said to be very keen on bringing Crescencio Summerville back to the club this summer. In an article, they say that despite Slot's very public interest in the player, something that Daniel Farke comments on about regularly, about not talking about other close players, Arne Slot doesn't seem to have an issue with that. In fact, he seems to favour this, whether it's an attempt to unsettle the player, unsettle the club, or make the player more aware of their interest, which you would imagine he will know through his agent. Anyway, all of that is unclear. But in the article, they say despite this public interest from Arne Slot, it is unlikely that Leeds United will let the player go back to Feyenoord in the summer, or that the player himself would favour a move back to Feyenoord. They believe in this article that the 22-year-old would now likely cost any club who's interested anything between 35 million and 45 million to buy the player should they decide to make an offer for him. Öztürk says that they want to see him playing at a higher level in Feyenoord and that they are delighted with his rapid growth over the past 6 months, but would like to see him playing as a number 10 as well, which he has played the odd time for Leeds. He also went on to say that Feyenoord view him as a priceless asset and one of the best players in the Championship and will be keen to bring him back to the club. Daniel Farke and the 49ers are incredibly unlikely to allow Chris Summerville to leave the club in the summer should Leeds get promoted to the Premier Division. The promotion will probably likely be the key factor in this. If Leeds do go up, Summerville's going to be probably a starter, a regular starter in the Leeds team playing in the Premier Division as opposed to going back to playing in the Dutch League. It's very unlikely that he'll do that, but we have to wait and see. Promotion will be the key on this. If Leeds can get promotion, if they can get up, then it's more likely that Leeds will be able to hang on to the likes of Summerville, Nanto, Rutter, all the good players that we've got there at the moment. So that's important. But it's really interesting to see the language that Feyenoord use around this. They very much still talk about him as one of their players, even though he's not contracted to the club anymore. And he's very much a Leeds United player. But they're very happy with his progress over the last 6 months. He's not your player. You can be happy all that you want. he's not your player. So although he did come through their youth academy, maybe there's a bit of pride there as well. Maybe that's where that's coming from. But interesting comments. Arne Slot continues to talk publicly about the potential of bringing Chris Summerville back to Feyenoord, which is incredibly unlikely. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for watching and supporting the channel. I'll see you tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Have a great day. Bye.